Hello and welcome back to Deep Drive, our weekly podcast powered by Kotak Mahindra Prime. Now, in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about companies' plans, the new models they are launching, a bit of a rumor and a scoop roundup. So I'm sure you'll find it quite interesting. I'm Hormazd Sorabjee.
Yes, I'm Ketan Thakkar. Hormazd, it's that time of the year wherein we recap all the companies, look at their performance, and the exciting part is we try and unravel as to what to expect in the next 12 to 24 months. And that's the most exciting part of the year, to know what is going to excite the market and what is going to excite us as well.
And I hope that will be exciting our audience this week. We're going to be telling a lot of new models that are coming out, and I can see Ketan grinning. We're going to be spilling the beans. So I think a lot of the industry are going to be on tenterhooks. But here. So here goes. So Ketan, let's start with number one, Maruti Suzuki. Very much number one. I think that in a way, I'm told they're getting back market share as well towards the end of the year. So that 50%, which was always a target, which eluded them after they got out of diesel. They dropped dramatically at that point. A lot of exciting models. Well, I don't know exciting, but a lot of models coming up in the future as well. Yeah.
That's right, Urmas. I think for about a year at least, one will see the EV sort of transition from Maruti Suzuki. The first model, e-Vitara, going to get launched at the beginning of the year. The consumer will be able to get their hands on the wheels. Then after e-Vitara, on the same platform, YMC. Yeah. That's the MPV that they are working on.
That's right.
Which is likely to be shared with Toyota.
I think both are going to be shared.
Both are going to be shared. And the important part is that both these vehicles have been designed for global markets.
Yeah.
So they are spec'd a little higher than what you would usually find in the Indian market. And these are the two critical models that is coming from Maruti Suzuki side before they actually start with the deluge of compact and subcompact UVs.
But it's interesting because I think it's still quite limited in terms of maybe the volumes. I mean, what I was surprised to know is that they are importing the battery packs, assembled from BYD. Normally you get the cells here, then you assemble it here. So clearly a lot of export focus because coming here, then being exported. So, and really not, these two models aren't, let's say, a full-on commitment to EVs as yet. I think that's when Suzuki and Maruti Suzuki will do their own EVs, I think, towards the end of the decade.
That's right, Hormazd. I think their intent is how to have critical models in each part of the multi-pathway, as they call it. So this was a critical one. They wanted an SUV for the global market, Suzuki, and they saw that India was an important manufacturing base through which they can get the cost right and they can cater to multiple markets around the world. And they've even gone out and said that they're going to be the largest selling producer of EVs. Pardon me, there, largest producer of EV in India in a matter of just a couple of years. And
but really, there's a lot of export potential and serving the affordable end of the segment with EVs.
Absolutely, and that is where I think the imported batteries kind of the cost can be absorbed, given the fact that they are high spec, meant for overseas market and designed for overseas market, which also says that Indian consumer is going to get a lot of these global products.
But what's good for global may not be good for local. We know that, and honestly, e-Vitara, Surges drove it. Not super impressed with it. Very small boot. Basics are not there. And right now, when you see the XEV 9S, a full 3-row SUV at a very competitive price, I don't know what that's going to do to the e-Vitara. Sure, the e-Vitara will likely to be more sorted, and the usual things when it's made for a global market. But I think
glitch free.
Glitch free. So though we've been told now that Mahindra have also sorted out all the software issues with the 9S, and but still, once it hits the road, only then will we know. But I think to me, it's not going to be a great start to electrification, or not the big bang start is what I feel. And then we'll have the MPV also, which again will be quite limited. I think, Ketan, what we have to look at is other models from Maruti.
Absolutely. That's a critical part.
Yeah. Nothing much in 26, but I think 27, we are seeing a lot happening.
Oh, yes.
And I want to talk on the MPVs also. They're getting quite deeper into the MPV space as well.
Absolutely. The big focus, Hormazd, and that is the pivot that is made at Suzuki or Maruti Suzuki in the last few years. Every single year when I look at what are the future projects coming in, I'm curious to know what's really happening to the electric car segment. But this time around, when you look at their future roadmap and the next 3 to 4 years, it's filled with compact SUVs, subcompact SUVs, MPVs, subcompact MPVs. Clearly, they've realized that that is where the market is moving, and they're trying to see if in a compact and a subcompact avatar, if they could wean away buyers, where we are seeing the consumers moving towards more SUVs in the future.
Right, and I think what's important in I think all these programs we've seen, there's no next gen Alto.
Yes. That was a question that we asked the global management at Japan Mobility Show as well. The answer was that in its existing avatar, the company needs to see as to what works for future. The good part is that because of the GST cut, there has been significant positive impact on the compact car models.
But it's been more compact SUVs, not so much the hatchbacks.
Not as much, but at least they've got some kind of a tailwind into their compact car portfolio. Yes, they may probably do much better volumes at the entry car segment, but clearly there is a structural shift we've seen from cars to SUVs, and that is the shift that they are making.
Yeah, so look, the Alto was launched actually not too long ago as far as product life cycles go. So August 2022, so that's 3 years. This is the time is due for a major facelift in the normal 3+3 model life cycle.
Right.
And after 6 or 7 years, maybe there'll be a change. Yeah, but I think in the programs, we've not seen anything for new Alto in that. So really, there's a possibility there may not be the next gen one, and they'll just allow this until regulations allow it, or there's a market, like very much like they did with the Maruti 800.
Yes,
I think Maruti 800 just went on and on until regulations killed it.
Right.
So right now we don't see any major regulation because safety is where it's at. I think they've got the 6 airbags in.
Yeah.
Emissions is fine. So I think unless there's some major regulation change, it could possibly just continue in its current form. And frankly, that makes sense because there's you have to think whether you want to invest so much in the bottom end where whenever you invest, it's going to take the price up even more.
True. And it's a catch-22, Hormazd. The volumes are falling. There's no visibility of future growth. And they can see that market is moving towards compact and subcompact vehicles. Yep. So that is where the conscious choice has been made.
Yeah.
We've spoken about Y43, YK9, YVF.
YVF is an interesting one. By the way, YVF for people I know these codes are all gibberish, not to people in Maruti or their suppliers. But I think YVF is start of it's a Solio, the Suzuki Solio, which they're looking at. I think 28, 29 still some time away.
That's right.
But again, with electric sliding doors. So I think the whole MPV space, that's becoming the next kind of, let's say, avatar for MPVs or the next trend in MPVs, electric sliding doors. And I think, they're seeing the popularity of that at the top end filtering down. So I think that's what they're looking at. And again, that will be hybrid.
Yes.
There will be a lot of exports of that.
Yes.
So again, that's going to be a global model because it's going to be exported quite a bit there.
So that's an interesting one, right? I mean, it's a hybrid, and we are now going to see Maruti come out with different forms of hybrid. We've spoken about range extenders in the past.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, over the years, they've not been able to get the right mix of making money and getting the right fuel economy, but probably 27, 28 is when we...
I think the Fronx has been delayed by a year from what we understand. Is going to come in 27, the Fronx hybrid, I mean. So that's the first one. So I think that's what will really kick off Maruti's big hybrid push, which will really democratize hybrids.
Right.
And then, future products after that. So again, as we said earlier, I think from what we understand, there are packaging issues of the Z12 engine 1.2 and putting a battery and a motor in a very limited space.
Yeah.
And when you see the cars, you see how small they are, the engine bays.
Yeah.
So clearly it does become a challenge. So I think moving on, I think Maruti, obviously there's a bigger MPV also, IR5, that's the one.
That's right.
Yeah, so again, MPV is definitely coming. And Ketan, what are the SUVs being planned?
SUVs, Hormazd, so they want to do a proper punch rival. Probably it is likely to replace Ignis, but now it is going to be tall boy SUV-ish avatar, which is what we call Y43. I'm glad you asked that because those codes may not mean anything for the prospective buyers or enthusiasts out there. So Y43 is likely to be that subcompact SUV to take on punch, and then they want to do something a little larger than that between the Brezza and the Y43, which is the punch rival, a crossover-ish, and that is also likely to get a hybrid. So Maruti is now lining up products, stacking them one beside the other, so that they have relevant models in the core of the market, and thanks to GST cut now prices have further come down. I mean, that is the core of the market where Maruti is going to be launching all these models. And clearly when you look at the numbers, they're talking about 300,000, 400,000. I mean, clearly they're looking at volumes, and eventually they're going to displace the compact cars as we saw them in the past from
Yeah, that's right. It's sad because I think, the good old ubiquitous hatchback really defined by the Maruti 800 for decades, for generations, it's under threat. Amazing how the market has turned.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Ketan, let's move on because we have limited time.
Sure.
Hyundai I don't saying number 2, but, I think they are, let's say, the next big guys out there with a lot of, let's say, focus, commitment, investment, publicly listed now in India. So clearly, that it's changed things a lot. And they have to make this market work, and they are putting a lot of resource and money behind it. I think 45,000 crores is what I heard.
Huge.
Yeah, that is a lot with a whole bunch of things, including hybrids as well.
Absolutely.
So you've got compact vehicles,
large
vehicles like the Bion coming, for example.
That's right.
Yeah, and then hybridized versions of, a lot of other products as well.
Yes, if I could just reel them out, Hormazd, 2026, we're going to see a facelifted Extra. A facelifted Verna. They're not giving up on sedan, and that is also likely to get sizable export volume.
And that could even be a hybrid. Verna could also be a hybrid, is what I hear.
Is it?
That's right.
That's something that I haven't heard, but you might have got that right. So Verna hybrid, and then then we get into actually the new gen models. Beyond crossover. Then it'll be followed by the subcompact SUV EV, and then we see the big ones, the new gen Creta with hybrid powertrain, and a C segment SUV, which is also likely to get a
C, or what we call D segment, which kind of replaces the Tucson. Tucson has stopped.
Correct.
Tucson clearly didn't work. It was just, I think, it was too European, too global for this market.
Right. It was, I think the value proposition was missing.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And with the C segment or the D segment, C plus D or whatever you call it, above Creta, which they try to do with Alcazar. But now what we see is that there's going to be a third row. Clearly something that Mahindra launched the 9S with a 3-row. They've done very well with XUV 700. So that's a market that even Tatas have with Safari. So that's a hot space where majority of the SUV and compact.
And even MG is going to be coming out with that.
That's going to be a big one. So Hyundai is going to be exciting the market with facelifts to begin with in 26. At the fag end of 26 is when we start seeing a compact crossover Bayon, followed by new small SUV EV, then Creta in a hybrid avatar, and then we see the mid-size SUV coming in.
And I think I think it's quite clear that, Hyundai actually to me is a company to watch, because they've been very conservative in what they said. They don't want to increase their market share. In fact, they've said, they're happy with 14, 15.
Yeah.
But, maybe they are kind of underplaying it. Clearly, I think the way forward is with new product. And I think what's going to the big change will happen is when they invest in local R&D over here, which they have committed to be doing. They've Indianized the company a lot. It's was a big moment to have Tarun Garg, a first Indian as a head of the company. So that really speaks, where the company is focused, because clearly I think Indians know the Indian market and the Indian consumers best, and they're going to be using the experience he had for that very nuanced kind of approach to the market, which very often let's say leaders coming from overseas, they stay here just for about 3 years max, and by the time they figure out the market, they have to move on.
That's right. I think years close to ground, local leader, local R&D, you get speed and agility, and you have models now bridging the gap. I mean, there were certain yawning gaps in Hyundai's portfolio, and they themselves have come out and said that they will come out with an MPV as well as off-road SUV. So that comes in later. But clearly, Hyundai is bridging the gap, and I agree with you. That is going to be one brand with a barrage of model. It is going to excite the market, and definitely, Mahindra and Tata, who've had a great run over the last few years, they're going to find compelling competition coming in from the global multinational corporations.
Yeah, that's right. I think they've got everything going for it. They've got they've Indianized the company, as I said. They've got the products coming much more, let's say focused for this market. Going to get their costs down. I think that's going to be quite interesting. I think Tata again. I think big moment for them with Sierra. I think really great response. Of course, we have to see how it does in the market. They say it's an all new platform, but from what I understand, it's very heavily modified. Firewall is the same, that position, so clearly that's one thing you can't change. But I think they've changed everything. Got a bigger wheel arch to have bigger wheels. That's one of the big challenges. New electrical architecture, which is capable of getting Ethernet.
Tidal 2.0.
Yeah, that's right. Tidal 2.0. So really, they put a lot into that. But my main thing is what next? Because clearly, there's a lot can be done on the Sierra platform now. So you could have multiple derivatives. Could be a 3-row. Whether that would hit Safari.
Top.
Yeah. There's lots that can be done. Yeah, that's right.
Some exciting possibilities.
Yeah, a lot of exciting possibilities. A more butch, off-road version with AWD, which looks like the Thar Rock. So I think Sierra itself, can have its own ecosystem with a range of multiple products, because there's EVs, there's hybrid being planned, CNG, the works. So I think really, I think a lot is going to pivot around the Sierra. But I think, and we said this, unlike Mahindra, which have already announced the next generation platform for multiple products, I think that's where Tata's still has to come up with that.
Hormazd, I mean, during the Sierra launch event, did spend time with Shailesh Chandra, and he did reassure me that, I'm going to sit with Hormazd and we're going to explain to you what the future architectures are. The future products are baked in. We've announced it to the investors. There is a cadence of new launch that we have planned. But yes, when we talk to the ecosystem, the progress that that the company has made, be it with regards to the Taurus Leo that we've spoken about before, which is the new gen Harrier and Safari, the Scarlet, the subcompact, some lifestyle SUV that we're talking about. Things are slow right now. What I understand right now is that they are so all occupied in ensuring that Sierra does well and brings them the number. And company said that, with the Sierra coming in, they want to actually go to a 20-25% market share in the SUV space.
That's right. I mean, it's a real inflection point. A lot is pivoting on the Sierra, and I think the success of the Sierra can, determine what their future roadmap will be.
Absolutely. So just to reel off 2026, Hormazd, so you, Tata Motors, we're talking about Punch facelift coming. We're talking about the Sierra EV coming.
Right.
And then there is talk of a new gen Nexon, which they internally call it as Garud. It's been given a go-ahead. Significant work has been done. We're on the last leg, the product mules and all. We should start seeing them in the next couple of months. And by the end of the year or beginning of next year, we should see a new gen Nexon coming in from Tata Motors.
And I think it could be on the Sierra platform.
Yes.
So it can have larger wheels, can be upgraded, just be a size bigger. This has got 2,700 plus wheelbase. So I think that's what it could be. So I think again this new platform, or let's say
adapted platform.
But Tata keeps saying it's a new, so we'll just give them that we'll go with what they say. I think it really has a lot of exciting possibilities.
And technically, we try to understand, and we try and understand from a business standpoint, does it make sense to have multiple architectures? And they reassure us saying that the consolidation will happen, and that's the direction that they are taking. And all these adaptations are done to ensure that they don't miss out on the demand in the marketplace.
But I think, in a way, if you look at it, they've been pragmatic about it. You don't just go to a new platform for the sake of going to a new platform.
Correct.
If the older platforms are working well,
absolutely,
they meet the regulations.
Absolutely.
From a customer's point of view, he doesn't care what platform it's on.
Absolutely.
The reason you change to a platform is because certain regulation where you have to have stiffer crash, or the electric and electronic architecture, packaging that in, that's sometimes the biggest limitation of an old platform.
True that.
You can't upgrade to that. So that's when you need a newer platform. So I think, it's been a pragmatic approach.
I agree.
The only thing is the cars are heavy.
Yeah.
X1 is generally a heavier platform.
Yeah.
Same problem Mahindra faces with the SsangYong Tivoli platform, which underpinned the XT400 and now the 3XO. Not an optimal platform, but still is doing the job.
It does the job, yeah.
It does the job, So I think from a customer's point of view, it's doing fine.
Yeah.
So I think you change platforms only when you are forced to, or really the market conditions demand that. Normally, it's when you're forced to, because the market really doesn't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Then we're moving on to Hormazd. Mahindra, just coming back from 9S.
Yeah, coming back from 9S, I think amazing. I think what, they again knocked it out of the park with that. I mean, I think to be honest, this is really going to, just go for the Harrier EV's jugular because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Three-row seating, more features. Okay, it doesn't have four-wheel drive. But that again is, it's not really a big USP in this segment. Good to have for sure. And I think Mahindra, honestly, it's kind of shown them up because they've always been taking the 4x4 plank and being 4x4 ready.
Yeah.
And they've done it with all their ICE vehicles, but not with their EVs.
Yeah.
So that promise of having at least one 4x4 variant is yet to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Platforms are 4x4 ready.
Yeah.
I think the reason it's not been done again is cost, because I think the platform was designed to have Volkswagen motors.
Right.
And really very powerful ones, the APP 550, which we had looked at. But I think the cost was just too high. And this current, let's say, setup they have with the Valeo motor, BYD cells, it's just working brilliantly in a very cost-effective way. So, that's
and probably the maturity of the EV space as well. We are right now about 6%, 7%.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So probably let the segment mature and then...
Yeah, then I think you give something more exciting, like more power. So I think they've taken, again, a very pragmatic and practical approach.
Hormazd, every single launch, the value proposition that we see with the model, they just knock it out of the park.
Completely.
The top-end version of 9S, Hormazd, the price is lower than the top-end version of XT700i. And that is phenomenal. I mean, yes, we know that there is the
GST
updated... that's GST benefit, and there's an updated 700.
That's what we're going to be talking about. That's the first one coming into 2026. So we'll have 3 screens. And obviously, so that's going to be the first upgrade of the 700, which is a very important car for Mahindra. And good to see that they are following a good, let's say...
cadence of new launches.
Absolutely. And, tight product life cycles. I mean, quick to refresh. So really, it's a new Mahindra altogether. Very dynamic, very kind of recharged, and, amazing to see that there.
So on a lighter note, Hormazd, in the evening function, talking to Nal, the CEO, about, now that launches are done, is there time to breathe? He's like, there is time to breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much coming and there's so much of excitement. There's so much of adrenaline within the organization, and there's a runway and there's so much lined up for the next few years. From here on, there are multiple projects coming. So just for our readers and viewers, the next one is the 700
616.
That's right. 616. That's the facelift that's coming. Then we're going to have Z511, if I'm not wrong.
The 115.
Z112, Hormazd, that's going to be a facelift of Scorpio N.
Z112 or Z115?
This is what I learned.
Okay.
So Scorpio N, there's a facelift on Scorpio N coming. There's a facelift on Thar 3-door coming.
Right.
And probably...
Thar 3-door got a bit of a refresh right now. So I think, maybe there's more being planned.
Yes,
I think they'll keep upgrading their products, because I think, again, from what I understand, Thar 3-doors picked up very well after the few changes which were done.
Yes.
We shot it in the studio here. We got John Abraham to see it. He's a big Thar fan.
Right.
And played a bit of spot the differences game. Not too much outside as we saw, but inside, really they've got a lot of the rocks into the Thar. So really that's working well. And I think what we can predict with Mahindra is that when they introduce a new technology in their vehicle, you can be rest assured it will filter down to the rest of their range.
Democratize across portfolio.
Exactly. I mean, the way they've democratized technology, I mean, it really makes the global OEMs or international OEMs really just they're just reeling from, what they've been doing, and really puts them on the mat.
And we've heard that from the management, right? I mean, the inspiration now comes from China, where the life cycles are shrinking like crazy. And that's the reason why we saw the Batman edition in no time. We saw the Formula E edition now, along with the 9S. And the Raleigh version, which was showcased about a year and a half back, it's already baked in.
Yeah,
ready.
that's right.
It is just about, switching it on, and that model is available for you.
I would do that with more power. I don't know what their plan is, because, Rally, talking about it, you need to have a little bit more power, go beyond the cosmetics here.
So that product is ready, Hormazd, is what we understand, and that product keeps coming back and forth. As of now, no visibility, but if Mahindra decides the speed and agility that they have, they can actually bring it in the market quickly. Right. And the interesting part is going to be following this. We've spoken about new IQ platform, and they're going to get into space where the others are getting into their space, which is bigger SUV. And Mahindra is going to get into compact vehicles. So you're going to see a sub 4 meter, a 4.2 meter.
That's right.
And that is where Mahindra's volume jugular is going to kick in.
Yeah.
And that is where we're going to see, the most aggressive onslaught from Mahindra.
Yeah, that's right. I think a very, very aggressive volume projection, which they've given to investors, million plus, I think 1.5 million, I think.
That's what they've told vendors, that's the preparation that they're going to be ready with for the coming decade.
Yeah, obviously, you have to see how the market pans out. But I think clearly we all know Mahindra's really the darling of the industry right now. They've been
They ensure that they excite you with something or
absolutely, absolutely.
They ensure that.
Yeah, so I think moving down, I think maybe Toyota. Yeah, I think we broke the story. I think the Land Cruiser FJ, they're coming much later.
Yes.
So I think...
curious to talk to you about the Innova Krista, Hormazd, and something that we've been wanting to know as to how long can it go on. The CAFE norms are coming up.
I think from what I understand, it will not go beyond 2027.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the end of it. Krista, the diesel, they're going to get rid of diesel. So it's interesting, diesel... One would imagine that it would have a CAFE benefit. Typically, it does, because it's much more fuel efficient. But at the same time, where the CAFE, the CO2 is calculated, it's on mass, and the dense, and the CO2 has a higher density.
Right.
So typically, let's say if a petrol gives you 10 kpl and a diesel gives you 10 kpl, identical fuel efficiency, the emission of CO2 is slightly higher in a diesel.
Right.
So that's really, I think, one would always imagine that, diesel was CO2 friendly. They are, because of the inherent fuel efficiency.
That's right.
Yeah, but if you take both the same, then, that's when the density of the CO2, the density is more of an emission of that.
Right.
So, so I think, diesel, clearly hybrids from a CO2 perspective is really... it has changed the game. And diesel has its own risks. And when the air quality deteriorates, everyone blames diesel, and so I think diesel is a bit of a risk to go forward with because of these reasons. So not many people investing in diesels, and, I think slowly phasing them out. And clearly Japanese companies in any case, are more inclined towards hybrids, and really they know the technology. They want to invest more in it. It is a great transitionary technology towards EV. So I think we're going to see more of that from Toyota. And I think, let's say even their top-end models, basically products like the Fortuner, in time will be hybridized. And there's always this talk of banning diesel. So it's a little a technology that really doesn't have too much future. And, you'll see slowly everyone moving away from it in time. Though I think from a market point of view, the love for diesels is as strong as ever. And as long as they're meeting emission norms, I think they'll be here to stay. But some companies have a different strategy. Right. Japanese typically are not diesel oriented, and that's why I think they're more towards hybrid, and that's why I think Toyota is taking that route.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was given the fact that the significant demand for Krista even now, and sizable volumes, to make up for that volumes, I was just trying to understand how is Toyota going to manage. And what I understand is that they want to make it up with hybrid versions of Hi-Cross, which is significantly higher priced. And it's phenomenal to see as to now we're going to see Fortuner getting hybridized. We're going to see potentially a C SUV based on the Hi-Cross platform that has been under works for a while. And then you're going to have a plethora of models coming out of Aurangabad facility, D900, something that we've spoken about in the past, but that's still far off in the future.
That's right.
In the meanwhile, probably we may see a rebadged version of e-Vitara as e-Urban Cruiser, and potentially an e-MPV. The timelines are still to be defined, because
I think it'll happen in 26 at some point, everything.
Because of the rare earth crisis and the supply chain challenges challenges. Some of these timelines have got moved. But again, it's a supplier agreement between Suzuki and Toyota, and that's something that can be adjusted given the fact that Toyota still does not have an EV. So probably a quarter or so of delay is something that is a given. So one can expect an E version of e-Vitara and E version of which is e-urban cruiser and e-MPV coming in from Toyota in the next couple of years. So again, just like Suzuki, we're going to see more EVs, hybrids coming in from Toyota before we see a multi-pathway architecture coming in from Aurangabad, and that is going to cater to the mainstream of the market, and that is where the FJ Land Cruiser also.
That's right, yeah. And but I think for an FJ doesn't have a diesel, yes, no plan for a diesel. So I don't know. I personally think it's a big risk. It's one of those because globally you're not there in diesel. India's one market, you have to be in diesel. You see all the companies that exited diesel and what's happened to them. Maruti, they lost their market share because
exit from diesel.
Because at its peak, 30% of all Maruti sales were diesel.
Absolutely.
And they got out of diesel.
Yes.
Same with Renault.
Yeah.
They got out with the K9K. The Duster was so strong. That K9K diesel engine was fantastic. The minute they got out of diesel, Duster tank, Duster diesel. And now they're coming back with the Duster without a diesel.
Correct.
Always a handicap.
Yes.
So I think, that is a mistake. And getting the Krista out of diesel, that again is a big challenge. And frankly, I feel that some companies should try and fill that space.
Yeah.
And that only company can be either Tata or Mahindra.
What about MG?
MG doesn't have a diesel.
Right.
The Fiat diesel, which they have.
They relied on Fiat. Yes.
And that's also going to go. So that we haven't come to MG, but MG is also going to axe a diesel. Look, it's a Fiat engine. They don't have it.
Yeah.
But I genuinely feel that, that space of the Innova Krista, it's a ripe space.
Yeah.
And Mahindra, yes, they focused on SUVs. They didn't work with the Marazzo. They got out of that, but I think there is a case for someone to get in there.
Stargazer?
It's I don't think, Hyundai could do it.
What I mean, just before coming in, was trying to find out.
But I'm not sure if they'll have a diesel version. So I don't know. That's right. So so Hyundai is one company that could take that space.
Yeah.
But
Kia's done fairly well there, with the Carens and Carens class.
They have, but different segment actually, if you look at it much
higher up.
Exactly. I think, when the Marazzo came, I thought it was, Mahindra as a brand was not right up there. Today, Mahindra, the brand is, bursting with confidence. People are buying 30 lakh Mahindras without thinking twice. In fact, I think Nal told us that 80% of the EV buyers are first-time Mahindra brands.
Yeah, so that's a new set of buyers they're getting, right?
Exactly. So just imagine on the Rocks platform, a 5G platform, with that 2-liter diesel, just having an Innova body style. I know they won't do it because, I keep saying they're only pure SUV, but I think that is a tempting space to be in. Yeah, exactly.
They keep saying that, our focus is very sharp and stick to what we are known for, and
alternatively, even something Tata should look at. And so I think they've taken over the 2-liter diesel from Fiat. So I think that diesel MPV space, which Toyota might likely exit, should be. It's a big space. I mean, it's still a good amount, 3,000 units. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, someone should be looking at that.
Yeah. Moving to Kia, Hormazd, been a challenging time with the Syros. Syros EV was always lined up a year later. But given the fact that the Syros ICE has faced significant amount of challenge, and for several months they've not produced the vehicle.
That's right. When they got the pricing wrong. And when your pricing is wrong, you find all other reasons not to buy it, and then the design became an issue. Which is a bit quite polarizing, the design. It's a super car, actually. Run it as a long-termer, and I love the car. It's so well made, top quality, a showcase of Korean technology, and how really it has, is world class in certain areas, even better than the Germans in certain fit finish.
The interior is also beautiful.
Exactly. That CMF what they do, column, so it's very, very nice. And slick screens, everything works well. But, again,
the value proposition and then design starts screaming at you.
Exactly. And I think even Clavis EV not been a great start
Yes.
from what I understand. But I think the big white hope is the new Seltos.
Yes.
It's going to be bigger. It's going to have a lot more. So
Going to come with hybrid.
yeah,
First
exactly.
hybrid
Yeah,
coming in
that's right.
Kia from
Exactly.
Hyundai Motor Group.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's going to be a big one.
that's going to be a big one. Absolutely.
And by the time this podcast airs, I think in a few days' time, the new Seltos will be launched.
Yeah, that's right.
We've
Absolutely.
been invited for that. So
Yeah, so looking forward
be
to that.
excited for that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then Ceros EV, and then the most important one, Hormazd, just like Hyundai, they're getting into the bigger SUV space. The Sorento comes in.
That's right. Sorento is also coming in.
Sorento comes in with hybrid.
Yeah, that's right.
So going to be a critical year from a Kia's perspective, given the fact that Ceros volumes have not kicked in.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
both these models are critical to ensure that Kia goes to the next level. At least that gives confidence to headquarters to bring in new models. You keep trying to find out as to what next beyond Sorento, but there's nothing much that we see on the horizon.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think success of both these models are going to be critical for Kia to have something more to broaden their portfolio and cater to this growing Indian market.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think here we got MG. That's a very interesting company. I think clearly, MG also, Windsor doing well.
Yes.
But doing really well. Everything else not doing so well.
Right.
So MG becoming a one
brand wonder.
Yeah, one product company, which is a very dangerous place to be. For your fortunes to hinge on one model.
That's right.
Which is the and it's an EV that too.
Yeah.
So I think they really need to get their act together. I mean, Hector, it should be doing better. I don't know why it's not.
Yeah.
A lot of people blame the fuel economy. Even we've complained about it in our reviews, but that's not enough to have such low volumes of under 1,000.
Yeah.
I think should have been more focused, because to me the Hector is actually the best chauffeur-driven SUV in the market. It's low, you get in quite easily, that backseat is comfortable, and the ride at the rear is really soft for low-speed driving. So it's very tuned for, especially on our potholed roads, it's really quite nice. So I think it should do much better.
Yeah.
Cavernous cabin, huge boot space, very, very practical. As I said, chauffeur-driven, not great to drive at all. And I think they're getting more models in now. They're getting,
what next? I was very curious to know from you. What next?
So I think clearly, they're exploring different iterations of the Comet. They are looking at, might see a four-door coming in. Then you might see, a bigger D SUV,
right?
Which sits above the Hector coming in as well.
F-150 they call it.
That's a platform, I think.
Yeah,
the code is 520.
520.
Yeah. So and I think 510, 520.
There are two models. They're going for 520.
That's right. Yeah, and I think the Majestor. I can't even get that name.
Magister.
Yeah. So
that's platform M above, sitting above.
That's right. So I think that's been delayed because they want to localize that a bit more.
Right.
So I think that's also coming. So a lot happening over there. But I think, of course, a lot of dynamics with Volkswagen, Skoda, SAIC. And so I think clearly, all these three entities is going to be quite interesting for the future of the company, because there's talk, as we said, we did it in our last podcast as well, about a tie-up between MG and Skoda VW, and SAIC also kind of be somewhere in the middle. And I think that's going to then determine future models as well. So right now, I think it's quite dynamic and, subject to change if this joint venture or this alliance goes through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite curious to see as to how this 520 turns out, because when Hector came in, it brought in huge size at amazing price. I think it started at 15 lakh rupees price point, and which is what I understand, Hormazd, that probably the next one that's coming, big in size, but probably in terms of pricing, they're going to be very aggressive and, pitch in right where the XUV700 is, and with all powertrains. I think it has a plug-in hybrid, it has EV, it has ICE, it has strong hybrid. So it's going to be...
Absolutely. I think they're looking at plug-in hybrids as well. They're banking on that. They're looking at EV as well. So, but I think it's more going to be a hybridized version of that. So, clearly, I think a lot of options, from them over there. So, I think, but as I said, we have to see how that pans out. So, I think, and of course, there's JSW Auto, which is going ahead with Chery. And, I think they've got two SUVs planned with them.
Yeah.
So, I think one high-end and one compact one. So, clearly, all that's being worked out right now. And I think so, yeah. So I think JSW, huge ambitions in the auto space.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how they pan out.
Absolutely. And even when they picked up the stake in MG Motor, the promise was they'll come out with every 3 to 6 months, there'll be a new model. We've seen the Cyberster, we've seen the M9. And yes, like you mentioned, there is a DSUV and Magister and probably more offering in the future. So it's going to be exciting. The only fear is that they are so sharply focused on the new energy space. My only fear is that the ICE space is still very significant in the marketplace. Yeah, that's a differentiator for you. But if you don't play in the core of the market, which are growing at a faster pace, I think that is going to be a critical pie for MG in the future, according to me, Hormazd.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Volkswagen Skoda, Hormazd. So CMP21, IMP21, we've been discussing it.
Yeah, we've been discussing it. Obviously, that's progressing. So I think clearly they've not got the absolute green light to go ahead because that will be a huge amount of investment to industrialize, tool up and all.
Right.
But what I understand, they're spending a couple of million just to make sure that the milestones are cleared.
And the development gateway,
the milestones are cleared, so the program isn't delayed, waiting for investment to come in.
Yeah.
So I think they're just assuming they will get it. I think they have to partner. We've talked about this. But I think what's going to be interesting next year is for the first time we'll be seeing significant updates to the
Taygun,
Kushaq, and then later Slavia and all. And I think some interesting updates. We saw it first in the, 9S, but I think here we can give a bit of a scoop that both the Taygun and Kushaq will have a rear massage seat function.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's how it is. And I think things like the AC is going to be better. I think the 1.5, the high-end one, will have disc brakes at the back. So I think there's a fair amount of, happening on the facelift. And frankly, I love the cars. They're great to drive. And I think this will create some excitement because I think a typical Skoda Volkswagen buyer appreciates what these cars stand for. And I think they're enriching them that much more. They've learned they have to, mechanically the cars are sorted. Yeah, fantastic. They have to give more features.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. Yeah.
True. I mean, there's a talk of potentially a 7-seater Tayron coming in.
Oh, yes, we forgot that. The Tayron has come. That's pretty much known. I think that'll come in the first half. So I think that again will be a rival to the Kodiaq.
Yes.
But coming back to the Kushaq and Taygun, what I hadn't mentioned was, I think even the screen is going to be redone. There's some blank spaces there that's been kind of, let's say redesigned, better graphics. So I think overall, this is going to be much.
So the time is going to be spent on upgrading the existing versions before we start seeing the localized version of IMP21, hopefully with the rider that the investment comes through. And we're talking about what, 2 models each from both the...
Yeah, 2 models each. Yeah, so a 5 and a 7-seater each from both.
And both EV as well as ICE, isn't it?
EV as well.
It's a flexible architecture.
That's right, yeah. That's
a flexible architecture.
Yeah.
So the work has gathered momentum, but clearly waiting for that critical mullah to ensure that project hits the road. From their perspective as well, CAFE is a critical element because
that's right. So I think so EVs have to be part of the mix for everyone, and that's really, if you don't have it, you're in a problem. So I think that's why the urgency is also there, because they need to have the EVs there.
Right.
One of the reasons why even Mahindra, which is, the ICE is quite CO2 heavy, and they have to really compensate that with EVs. I think at least 15%, 20% of their final, let's say range mix or model mix should be EVs to clear the tougher CAFE targets.
Right. And then finally, I mean, Honda we've recapped recently, so our viewers and our readers, a list
on Honda, you can go back to our podcast. Lots of interesting information there on their new models. So I think we won't touch upon that. Again, like Honda, as we know, completely now focused on the Indian market.
Yes. So left is Renault Nissan. Again, with the critical year, Duster, Tecton.
That's right. Yeah.
Duster from Renault, Tecton from Nissan.
Yeah.
And there are a slew of models now. Again, it's a new journey for both those brands, given the fact that now they've invested significantly.
But again, Ketan, no EV, I think.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a challenge. I don't know what they're doing on that. I think they're looking at multiple options. They've tried, but I think that's really going to be the challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be quite critical for them as well from a CAFE standpoint.
Because if you're a pure ICE, and by ICE I mean by just petrol, that's going to be a challenge. You need to have some CNG. You need to have a hybrid. Some kind of let's say alternative energy
right.
to kind of mitigate the CO2 effect. which they don't have.
It's interesting, Hormazd. I mean, how till about a year back, CNG was not part of thought process. Hybrids, people were iffy. Now we're actually seeing progress happen.
It's all being driven by CAFE. You have to get the CO2 numbers done.
Yes.
And then of course there'll be the biofuels which are coming. We've not talked about that.
Yes.
So I think that is going to be, we're going to go beyond E20 into flex fuel.
Flex fuel.
So I think a lot of people are worried about, going to E27, but I think E20 will be the baseline. I think governments also realize the backlash they've got.
Right.
So E20 will be the baseline and flex fuel will be on top of
bridge.
Yeah, that's right. So that means you'll have a choice of E20 or then higher blends, but you'll always have a choice of E20.
Right. So clearly, I mean, we're getting all powertrains and consumers going to be spoiled for choice. And it's amazing to see as to how the action starts at subcompact SUV to even D segment SUV. So a lot to look forward to in 2026 or what?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot to look forward to in 2026 and beyond, because I think we've talked about 27 as well. So I think clearly, it's exciting times.
Yes, indeed.
I think what makes it exciting when you have a really big regulation like CAFE coming, then you always see, let's say, model mix changing, powertrains changing, just to meet those regulations.
Yeah, the companies are compelled to relook at their vehicle architectures, their powertrain architecture.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's a moment of reckoning from a 2027. CAFE is something that is being discussed in the business circles very vigorously.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot happening on CAFE. Maybe that's a separate topic. What it is, we can discuss that at some point. But I think we've had a good recap.
Yes.
Of what the companies have done, what they're doing, really some deep insights. Hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and to make sure that you keep watching, do stay notified, click on the bell icon, and you can also catch us on other platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. See you again, same time next week.